So, continuing what I called the Brexit policy delusion, this story today. Liam Fox has underestimated the difficulty of getting British farmers good trade deals. MEPs warn. What was that, Brexiteers? What, it'll be easy to get these trade deals? There'll be no problem to get? This is one of the things I've said before, a couple of weeks ago, about the fact that we are not putting the right people in the right jobs. Liam Fox, to get this job, just said, I want this job, and put his hand up to essentially get it. He didn't have confirmation hearings, which I wish we would have, because he is woefully unprepared. Remember, this is the guy who said that the woodwind industry would be the saviour of British trade. Yes, this is just continuing the massive hilarity in what is essentially Brexit British politics. So MEPs representing the UK's agricultural communities are deeply concerned that Liam Fox has underestimated how difficult it will be to get British farmers a good trade deal after Brexit, according to the private correspondence obtained by The Independent. I've said this before. You can say that, only, 45% of our trade goes to, Europe, the two EU states. It's, we'll be fine. But no, when you break down that number, you start to see industries have huge, go hugely towards Europe. Farmers in particular, 65% of all agricultural goods go towards Europe. That's not going to change post-Brexit. Sorry, guys. Not only that, but these farmers are set to lose the agricultural subsidies they got from the EU, which Margaret Thatcher negotiated to them because they were getting a raw deal in the EU. The EU then agreed and gave the farmers the agricultural subsidies. So anyway, this continues. So a joint letter from MEPs across the UK's all main political parties to the International Trade Secretaries demands answers on how much progress the Theresa May's trade chief has made on keeping access to the markets around the globe, with farmers still facing uncertainty just a year to go until Brexit. So because that's what he likes to call it, Dr. Fox has previously said that a Brexit trade deal would be the easiest in human history. But the MEPs warn that it is now becoming clear that securing a good deal, not just for access to the EU markets, but around the world, will be complex and time-consuming matter. The 18 MEPs who either represent agricultural sectors or sit on the European Parliament's Agricultural Committee are members of the Greens, Labour, Liberal Democrats, Plaid Cymru and SNP, as well as Mr Fox's own Conservative Party. The Department for International Trade, which the Independent contacted for response to the letter, said that the Brexit transition period would provide continuity on current trade terms. Congratulations, that basically means it's a continuation, but it doesn't solve the long-term problem, what happens after that. Okay? That is just not an answer. So, MEPs said that they are still in the dark on what progress has been made on getting existing EU trade deals with other countries applied to Britain during the transitional period, and asked the International Trade Secretary for an update. They also asked for information about how much progress has been made on getting non-EU countries to recognise that Britain will still allow EU standards during the transitional period, and whether any progress has been made on a scheme to replace EU rules that would protect products such as Cornish pasties, West Country cheddar cheese and Gloucestershire cider. This is quite a big issue, because you cannot say something is a Cornish pasty unless it has been made in Cornwall. Okay? That is essentially trademark, something we got under the EU, by the way. This, again, when we leave, anyone could now potentially look, this is a Cornish pasty. Has it been made in Cornwall? No. But it's a Cornish pasty. Or, how about this West Country cheddar cheese? Not actually made in the West Country, but we can call it that. That will be a massive loss, huge hit to that section, as well as the Cornish pasties and the Gloucestershire cider as well. Again, people just don't know enough about this stuff to be able to have actual conversations and actual talk about the consequences of this will happen to those three sections of the industry in the UK. Do they care? No, because apparently they've got sovereignty back, which they already had to begin with. Though Britain will continue to follow EU rules during the transitional period, it states that in less than a year's time it will not be an EU member state, and there are concerns that other countries will not have to recognise it as such for the purposes of existing EU trade deals that give British farmers access to markets. The situation is made more urgent by the fact that the UK cannot even begin to negotiate replacement trade deals with the countries until it has left the EU. It has become clear that negotiating our trade framework after Brexit will be a complex and time-consuming matter, the MEPs wrote in a letter. As political representatives of farmers and food exporters, we are deeply concerned that the underestimation of how difficult of this process will actually be, and should not impact negatively on them and hence on British trade. Molly Scott Callaghan, a Green MEP representing the strongly rural and agricultural southwest and one of the letter's signatories, said Liam Fox's infamous claim that securing a trade deal with the EU post-Brexit would be the easiest thing in human history has been exposed to be a total bluster and bravado. It has become clear that negotiating a trade framework, especially one which protects our farmers and food producers, would be complex and time-consuming. Then it goes over a full list of the signatories. So a government spokesperson said, as we leave the EU, we will forge new and ambitious trade links around the world, reaching new customers for UK farmers and food and drink producers, and while also maintaining our high standards on animal welfare and food safety. First of all, a lot of these Brexit MPs have said they want to tear up all these rules and regulations. So bye-bye food standards, animal welfare, so long to that. If you want to, negotiate these new trade deals, we already have 52 preferential trade deals with other countries around the world. How are you going to replace them? Trade deals are not something that you can just snap your fingers and you can just get like that. And this is going to be, This is why you want good politicians who know about policy and who know what they're talking about. Not people who just sprout ridiculous slogans and bravado. Liam Fox will go down in history, like Nigel Farage, as a guy who just fucked this country over. So we are very clear that the UK will continue to protect UK geographical institutions and will expect that all UK GDIs will continue to be protected by the EU's GDI schemes after we leave. But we're no longer in the EU. Why should they protect them? We are discussing this with the EU, and we are also agreeing on an implementation period that provides continuity for our current trade terms. Ministers and officials meet regularly with farming groups and food and drink producers from around the UK to address their concerns and discuss how future independent UK trade policy can continue to support them to grow. It's not, basically. We've already discussed at length the losses we are going to suffer from not being in the EU. There was another paper, we already covered this, which pretty much confirmed the government's findings and went into the fact that the UK, the deal the government wants to go as this bespoke trade deal would cost us even more. So yeah, this is why we should listen to experts, and why expert opinions matter. It doesn't matter if you don't agree with that expert opinion, by the way. The problem is you have to listen to that expert and take on board what they are saying, and not just dismiss them out of hand, as many Brexiteers just do. The problem is you're going to need these experts. The problem is that a lot of them are planning to leave to Europe, because that's where the future is. That's where the future for the UK is. A lot of people just can't admit it. Problem is, we're going to have a decade of just things go horribly wrong, and it's just going to be this decade of just nothing goes right, and then we just rejoin. And we've put all that nonsense, all this nonsense about Euroscepticism will be proved wrong. There's too many expert opinions saying this is what's going to happen, this is why it's going to happen, this is why, this is why we need to remain in the EU. So, yeah. You can balk and bark me all you want in the comments, but unless you can actually provide some actual proof and evidence, it doesn't matter to me. Because more and more, every single day, it just goes to show you why we should remain in the EU.